Welcome to the Fun Astrology and Merriman Market Analyst Saturday Financial Podcast. I'm Thomas Miller. Thank you for joining us. This is the free weekly newsletter. It's published every weekend on MMAcycles.com by Ray Merriman, financial analyst and astrologer extraordinaire both. And this week's newsletter is for the week beginning October 6th, but we'll take a look back at the week past first. Couple of quotes to get us started. The first was from Dr. Paul Donovan, often quoted here from the UBS Morning Audio Comment on Friday. He said, "Today is U.S. Employment Report Friday." Except it's not, because of the impenetrable fog of the U.S. government shutdown. As low fear of employment is a crucial line of defense keeping the U.S. from recession, this is frustrating. Shutdowns usually redistribute economic activity between time periods. What is lost today is paid back tomorrow. There are some costs. Closed national parks tend to not get economic payback. However, this benign position depends on government employees getting back pay. If employees are fired rather than furloughed, what is lost today is not paid back tomorrow, and growth is more seriously hurt. End quote. And then a line from Steven Spielberg's movie Lincoln in 2012. Trust? Gentlemen, you must have forgotten that our chosen career is politics. Now Ray's comments for the week past. The U.S. government shut down and the United States stock market loves it. For now. U.S. equity markets soared to new all-time highs on Friday, the third day of the government shutdown. New all-time highs were also recorded in Bitcoin and gold, with silver closing in on doing the same. This is not surprising, given our recent special reports and webinar on Bitcoin and gold, which called for new all-time highs in each in October. This forecast was related to two important geocosmic factors. One, Mars in Scorpio, which has a historical relevance to sharp rallies in gold. And two, Bitcoin's 4-year market cycle and post-halving event, which identified a new all-time high due between August and November of 2025. In other nations, it was a mixed bag for stock indices. In Asia and the Pacific Rim, Australia's ASX index ended the week testing its all-time high made on August 25th. China's Shanghai Composite was closed for much of its holiday week, but did trade last Monday with a high of 38.88, just 12 points off of its 10-year high made on September 18th. The Hang Seng of Hong Kong rallied to 27,281 on October 2nd, its highest mark in over 4 years. Japan's Nikkei index closed within striking distance of its recent all-time high made on September 19th, our last 3-star geocosmic critical reversal date. India's Nifty rallied into the end of the week after posting a major cycle low on September 30th. In Europe, like the U.S., it was a good week for equities. The Amsterdam AEX, Zurich SMI, and London FTSE all recorded new time highs late last week. Germany's DAX came close but fell a little short. Thus, the bullish trend to most world stock indices continued in the absence of any reversal signatures of planets in aspect or station, as well as the apparently good news for their future prospects with the United States government shutting down and, temporarily, saving a lot of money without regard to the fact that until it reopens, this means less aggressive consumer spending power. Now, this week's short-term geocosmics and longer-term thoughts. From Friday's BBC.com, it says U.S. President Donald Trump has given Hamas a deadline that an agreement must be reached by 1800 Washington time, or 2200 GMT, on Sunday. Quote, "If this last chance, in all caps, agreement is not reached, all hell, all caps, like no one has ever seen before, will break out against Hamas," Trump wrote in the Truth Social post. End quote. And then this from Thursday's BabylonB.com, which of course is a spoof site. Sources confirmed. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth will begin weeding out physically weaker soldiers starting this week. Female soldiers will be required to do everything male soldiers can do, like a few push-ups. "What's a push-up?" asked one female soldier. "Why should we be expected to do those? This is just like Hitler." At publishing time, there were only 3 females remaining in the military. End quote, and end of spoof. Now, a serious look ahead in the short-term geocosmics for the week ahead. Ray says last week's geocosmic climate was more of a market trend resumption pattern rather than a reversal. That is, trend reversals are related to planets in certain signs, whereas reversals reflect strong planetary aspects or stations. Mars is now nearing the end of its first decanate, the first 10 degrees of Scorpio, a sign that often coincides with geopolitical and economic tensions, such as a government shutdown related to budget and debt matters, where each side threatens but neither side will budge to show signs of compromise. This may also be the case with the new plan to end the fighting in Gaza, which requires Hamas to disassemble and move out as Gaza starts to rebuild. Hamas has until Sunday to cooperate with these demands, or else, as quoted above, all hell like no one has ever seen before will break out against Hamas. Will Hamas agree? Probably not to everything, as it is approaching a full moon in Aries, a sign that may be looking for a fight. Another classic sign of resisting demands will be Mercury, joining the fixed sign crowd by entering Scorpio that same day. Will all hell break loose as threatened by President Trump? Probably, because when threats like that are made with Scorpio highlighted, people usually don't back down. This may be even more true given that October 6th is a special full moon. This full moon on Monday evening, Eastern Time, is also known as the Hunter's Moon, as it is tied to the hunting season. Its traditional nickname is Blood Moon, because of the reddish autumn leaves which are symbolic of animals' blood. That's not to be confused with the eclipse blood moon. For those living in the United States, it should present a spectacular night sky where there are no clouds obstructing the sight. Returning to the transit of Mars, we also note its passage from Scorpio through Capricorn often coincided with wars or threats of war involving Israel and her neighbors. Mars will be in this sector through the end of January, so it is unlikely that peace and a total surrender will happen as quickly as Sunday. Yet, these types of intense geopolitical tensions and events fit well with the rally in gold and silver, so often seen with Mars in Scorpio. In fact, this makes 26 out of 29 cases where gold has rallied sharply with Mars in Scorpio, according to the latest research by MMA gold analyst Wyatt Fellows. The current Middle Eastern mundane events and powerful rallies in precious metals may get a second thrust as the wild heliocentric Mercury moves into Sagittarius late Friday night and early Saturday. Historically, this ingress has approximately a 75% rate of frequency to a rally in gold that results in a peak October 7th through the 16th. This might also be a strong timing indicator for a high in Bitcoin as well. When Helio-Mercury moves into Capricorn on October 15th, these markets usually change direction and head south, if they don't start their reversal within the week before. Also, Venus enters its ruling sign of Libra on October 13th, an ingress period that is usually favorable for stocks, but not silver so much. October 13th through 15th would also be just in time for the next gathering of planetary aspects and stations that occur October 13th through 20th. Along the way, pay attention to next Friday, October 10th, when the volatile moon in Gemini begins. It will be one of those solar-lunar air-air combos that often coincide with reversals in precious metals and other markets. And pay attention to your internal risk-averse psychological signals these next few days. They're not going to bang a gong to announce that they are reversing when the dominoes begin to topple. That is, when stop losses on the overbought crowd begin to get hit. Think, is it better to get out early with a profit, or risk waiting too long to take a profit at the end of a cycle and getting caught in the stampede to get out once the downturn gets underway? Markets come down much faster than they go up. Same with life. As one businessman stated when he was asked how he went bankrupt, slowly at first, and then fast. And that is so descriptive of the times we are in. Hey, may I invite you to something that I just did? Would you join me? If you go to MMAcycles.com, there's a blue shop logo up there. If you click on that, and on the left, the first item is the forecast. It says forecast. That's where you can order the Forecast 2026 print and or ebook editions. This is the pre-publication sale that is only good through the end of October, and it is the lowest price the book will be offered. Now, I'm sentimental about these kinds of things, and I love learning from these people who have been doing this so long and have so much wisdom to pass down. But this is the 50th annual version of this very rare astrology almanac. Even if you're not into all the financial information, the first half of the book about the mundane astrology is phenomenal and will be our guide going into next year. But if you'd like to have this very special commemorative just to have it on your shelf, then go on over to MMAcycles.com and click on that shop button and get her done. I did. Come join me. I hope you guys have a great rest of the weekend. I do have on Fun Astrology podcast channel a weekly video that I wasn't expecting to do, but I couldn't pass it up about the full moon on Monday. And then we're back with our full slate of podcasts next week. Thanks so much for listening. Have a good weekend.